Welcome to Andertons TV.
Hello.
And for all you amp-loving viewers out there, I can reassure you that no amps were harmed in the making of this video.
No amps were used.
In fact, yes, no amps were used.
It's gonna be used.
I'm not sure. The term amp in a box, I think, typically people perhaps think of, Marshall distortion pedals that sound like an amp in a box. So I'm going to use the terminology amp in a box, but think slightly differently to that. I have here 4 examples of devices that are preamp, power amp and speaker emulation boxes, some digital, some analog, some with a smidgen of couple of effects in them, but that's not really what these are about. So these are devices that you would typically have on your desk to use at home, or maybe at the end of your pedal board for a live performance, where the DI signal that comes out the end is ready to go into a sound card or a desk or whatever you want to record. Front of house, yeah. So our rig today is Danish maestro
guitar,
Mr. Peter Honore.
Guitar, pedal board, and into one of these at the time. Straight into the Apollo 8P.
So,
X.
Not going to try and go too deep on the features here, but a brief overview and maybe keep the tones. So we're going to start with the 2 Notes C.A.B. The C.A.B. up until very, very recently would not have been able to be in this lineup because the latest software update introduced a preamp mode to this. Prior to that, it only did cabinet and speaker emulations. Power amp and speaker emulations. So if you've got an older version of the C.A.B., it's a free software update. You'll need to do that.
And update your software on your phone or your laptop.
Is that screen recording now?
It is recording.
It is. Okay, so here we go. You can see the new screen. This is the Torpedo editor. This works on phones, tablets, desktops, whatever. And you can see on here that you've got your amplifier. I can scroll through dozens of different amplifiers. Your 2 microphones that you get to choose. And what you'll now see, of course, is this clean preamp, this preamp section and this power amp section, and then the same EQ and enhancer and reverb that you get on the normal Torpedo editor. It's one preamp based on an old Fender Bassman, but several, as you can now see on the screen, different power amp options and the controls you can see here. Gain, treble, middle, bass for the preamp. Can switch between guitar and bass over here.
Single-ended and push-pull.
PP stands for push-pull, so like a Class A-B can amplify single-ended for Class A. Pentode and triode modes, and you've got this volume, contour and depth control on the side. So, let's hear Pete playing. What we're going to do, on the 2 Notes, there's no sense really of it being an amp modeler in the sense of not really driven tones. There's no Marshall-y kind of options. You could put EL34 tubes into with a Fender Bassman, and let's be honest with you, old Marshalls were Fender Bassmans. But so let's hear some clean tones with all the reverb for this demo coming from the 2 Notes pedal.
Yes, with no pedals now. Okay.
We'll lob a little light drive into here. So this is a revival drive from Origin Effects. So we're hearing this through a pair of studio monitors in the room, so kind of as long as you're listening through good studio monitors at home as well, or through some good headphones, you'll be getting a good idea. I will quickly just, again, we're not going to do full deep demos on this, but again, if you're looking at the screen here, you can see how you would change cabinets, and there's a whole selection of cabinets here, and it also is an IR loader. So meaning you've got an infinite number of cabinets that you could potentially download. You can change the microphones if you want to. You can see you've got 2 mics. What I will do though, just in here, is I'll just mess around with some of the different power amp options, because that's where it's predominantly different to the Torpedo captor stuff. So let's try some single-ended 6L6s. Here we go. 34s. 84s. 8088s.
Fatter.
And then we go into push-pull, which would be more typical for louder modern amplifiers.
Yeah, fatter as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
I like the 6L6 pulled.
88s. And you can see I can adjust the gain downwards, upwards. Down the bottom of this screen, you can see we've got the EQ, the enhancer, and the reverb, which again we've done. That's the same as what you get in the normal the Capture software. So we probably deep dive a bit more into that in some of the other videos. But so that's your 2 Notes C.A.B M option.
Yeah. Clever thing about that is just point out that you can actually hook your head of your amp into that and then come out of the C.A.B M into your cab. So that takes the load. It's not a load box. But then you can use your amp, and then that can come out to whatever.
That
or
I think
headphones.
is the original use for the 2 Notes C.A.B.
Yeah.
Was, as Pete said, the actual power speaker output from your amp goes into here, and then you follow through into your cabinet. And then you've got, what you can do is switch the preamp emulation off within here and just use it so that the preamp is actually coming from your amp, and all you're then doing is either the power amp and the speaker emulation, or even just the speaker emulation if you want to.
Yeah, into your interface, and then you record all the cabs from there. Clever thing.
Headphone output, auxiliary input. It's the
SD
cheapest one of the three as well. It's $249. So that's the C.A.B M. Amp in a box number 2 is the Atomic Ampli-firebox. This has a little bit more of a hands-on feel to it than the 2 Notes C.A.B M. There is an editor. It's not Bluetooth, it's just you need a USB cable. You can see the editor running on the screen as well. But I wouldn't have said that it really feels like you need to use the editor on this one in the way that on the 2 Notes you absolutely do need to use the editor.
Is this sorry to interrupt, is this the first one of this kind of amp in a box kind of pedal that came out? What was first then? I thought they were
I see
guys,
what you mean.
You know,
Possibly.
that was before the Iridium and before everything else, right?
So the history, I suppose, of Atomic is Atomic had have a background more in making a product that you'd think would be more like a Helix or a GT1000.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a more multi-effect amp modeler thing. And that technology was shrunk down into the Firebox to just give you effectively the essential bits that a guitar player would need. So just the amp modeling, very hands-on, and just some basic effects like reverb and compression. Right, so the way this works is the switch. You've got 3 switches across the top here. Almost a little bit feels a bit like the Iridium in that one of them you can have 3 different amp styles. You can have 3 cabinets or 3 settings per amp. So I can see on here we've got 9 different amps here actually that we've sort of had loaded in. So we've got various clean and dirty sort of sounds. But if we start with the clean, so it was more like the a comparison to the 2 Notes. Here we go. This is called a deluxe. So I guess like a 65 deluxe. Now the amplifier box, unlike the 2 Notes, does feel like if an amp's got gain in it, it does feel like I can get some gain from here. So we'll quickly do the same. So this is without changing anything but using a pedal, but then I'll find some of the other amp sounds and get a bit of gain in here. Yeah. The reverb, by the way, again, is coming from the Firebox. And the reason I keep saying where the reverb's coming from is that when we get to the Strymon and the Simplifier on the end, there's a tiny bit of room on the Strymon, and then there's nothing on the Simplifier. So we'll have to add those in either using pedals or Logic or whatever. But anyway,
here is and just to you guys saying, Pete's sniffling. That's because I got hay fever. That's it. Okay.
the wink there.
Just a little wink there. Hay fever.
Okay.
So back pickup with the revival drive. Front pickup. It's not a lot of gain, but it's
a little bit of
gain,
gain, isn't it?
A little bit of gain.
Again, for people who like hands-on devices rather than software devices, again, it's nice and easy to just go, right, here's another sound. So this now is going to be more of an AC30 kind of top boosty sort of thing.
That's nice, I like that.
Then we've got, this is called a cornfield, so I'm guessing it's a cornfield. So this will be a little bit more gainy potentially.
Here we go.
Go on,
I can feel that. That's good.
It's good.
I like that.
I like the fact to get, you're never, I don't think anyone's ever going to come up with a Bluetooth or a software editor that's quite as easy as just to turn the knob to where you want it to be.
No, you've got the bass on the top and all that stuff, yeah.
So I like that feature on here.
Yeah.
There are lots of different amp styles that are stored into this. I mean, again, I don't want to spend too long going to each one. Here's a Fender E65 Clean, it's called. Here we go.
That's nice, eh?
I bet that sounds nice with a pedal. It's fat and full.
Yeah, fat and full.
What's the next one on here? Is a Bassman.
I like that, that's good. And the game.
That does sound good.
Yeah, it does sound good.
I'm not going to go through loads of these. Last one, Plexi. Whoa! Let's turn that down a bit. Okay.
Got a bit of gain.
I've got the right socks for this music on. I don't know if anyone can see my socks here, but I've got the... Just saying. I wanted to find one that was maybe higher gain. I know it's not really our bag. Brit 800 is probably... Let's go.
With the drive on top. That's good, man.
You've
like
probably noticed as well that we've got built-in boost, so I can use that. Just running along here so that you know effects that you can get to from the editor. Gate, compressor, the boost is there anyway. Reverb, cab emulation. What's it? Echo? I don't even know. Oh, echo. So there we are. A delay, all built into this one. Quite fully featured, the Firebox, and not that much more than the two notes.
Nope.
$299.
I think a lot of people don't really know about this product as well. I think it's
much
kind of
smaller brand.
It came up, and then it kind of got overshadowed by all these other things.
Yeah,
so
I guess depending on how much marketing dollars you've got, depends how loud you can shout, doesn't it? So I suppose the smaller companies do rely on people discovering them.
Yeah, but it is a great contender.
You can't plug your power amp from your guitar amp into any of these three over here, only into the two notes one, just so that you know.
Yeah.
So there we go. There's the Firebox. I like that. I like that a
great,
lot. Man. Okay, right.
Move on.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right.
Right.
Right.
Move on.
Right.
Right.
The probably the best known, most famous one of the four here is the Strymon Iridium. Came out earlier this year, and is again, it's similar, I suppose, to the Firebox in this concept. If you've got these two switches that 3 different amps and then 3 cabs per amp. Not much of an editor that you don't. Essentially, there is a USB connection on here, and there is an IR
loader
sort of
thing.
library.
Yeah.
So you can use either Strymon's own ones or import your own ones. So you can effectively overwrite whatever these presets, sort of amp and cabinet options are. But I think the nice thing from here is it sort of appeals to people that probably don't want to go down that route. Simple on-off, and then there's a secondary favorite that you can store. So it's like two versions.
Is it stereo out, isn't
it? We're using it in mono, but it does have stereo out,
Yeah.
and it's MIDI as well, which I think is the only one that's MIDI, if that's your thing.
Yeah,
so
so
let's start with a Fendery sound. Now there's no reverb as such, just room, and room doesn't really add a lot. So if Pete feels the need, there is reverb coming from the board.
Or we try to just put some on
in Logic.
In post. Here's a G chord.
For a couple of cabs.
Yeah, go for it.
Here we go.
And that's now you change. That's like a box
the
style.
chimey ones, yeah. Marshally.
Okay. I got a bit of drive in there as well.
Yeah.
Try to do a clean tone. Sorry, try to do a clean tone, and then I'll put the pedal on.
I liked cabinet C for the clean tone the best. As I said before, if you use the editor, you can have as many different, choose different amps and different cabinet emulations from the editor if you want to. There we go.
So that's the clean. I put the drive on. Again, it's not really a high gain thing, is it?
If I remember rightly, the Iridium is a combination of like the preamp section is analog, and all the emulation of the power amp and the speaker emulation is digital on the Strymon. So it's sort of a mix. Yeah. It's got a headphone output on it.
Yeah.
Have they all got? I've got a funny feeling on the Firebox that the headphone. The headphone, you can just use the output as a headphone socket.
That's right. Yeah.
I might be wrong on that, but I'm fairly sure they've all got headphone outputs if you just want to use them for practice.
Haven't we done videos on all of these individually, apart from the C.A.B?
Apart from the C.A.B, yes, we have. So that's the Strymon. Let's hear it now. Just put some reverb on the front end and play something maybe a bit lush over the top. So that's the Strymon. The last one, we talked a minute ago about little companies that you might not have heard of. That's definitely where the Humboldt, the DSM Humboldt one comes in. This was a little gem, I think, from earlier on in the year that took us all by surprise, because this is pure analog. So it's got preamp, power amp, and cabinet emulation in here, but all analog and only controllable from the switches on the top panel here. Yeah. So there's no sense of USB or anything, and as a result of which there is no reverb in here either.
But it has got an effects loop.
It's got an effects loop.
DI out. It's got, we're using a jack cable out into a box. We're summing it into mono. You can only do that from the...
so we're trying to use all these in mono, I think, just because we didn't have enough inputs to do it on our desk. But so here we go. It's definitely of all four, it's the one with the smallest writing and the smallest screen printing, which I know if you're a bit short-sighted might be an issue. But there's something for me that just leans towards products where I don't feel like I need the editor. In all fairness, the Firebox editor,
pretty easy, isn't it?
Yeah, because it just looks like the pedal, so you don't really get lost. There's a definite rabbit hole to go down on the Torpedo stuff. Some people are going to go, yeah, I like
Bring
the
it.
fact that I've got a zillion things that I can edit, and then there are other people going, "Oh, it's too much," you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's have a little listen to this on its American sound. So this will be a sort of a Fender-y kind of sound, I guess. Let me change a few bits and bobs on here. There's no reverb on here, so, and I think the problem with that, because we've had reverb on the other three, I think we'll just have to put reverb on
put a little bit
in
afterwards.
Logic so that you're kind of hearing a comparable thing. But 100%, when I did the demo on this before, or when we did the demo on this before, we just had a reverb pedal going through the effects loop, and it was perfect.
Yeah,
It was super
absolutely.
fine.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing things like fiddling with the cabinet sizes, the types of valve emulation it's doing, and then I'll switch across. There is like a chimey vibe and a Marshall-y vibe as well. So let's try this. I've gone over to 212 cabs and KT88. Let's go back to 412s and put it on that Brit sound. There's definitely some dirt now if I do that. Here we go.
Chuck on the revival drive.
Yep. Back to the clean sound with a drive pedal.
Okay, so I've still got the drive pedal on here. And I add that there's not, you can't feel that you're playing through a box like that. I mean, there's no latency coming from here to there into the speakers.
That was an interesting observation, wasn't it? When I remember from doing this video before that we both felt that when you remove the digital element to the signal path, somehow it just feels a little bit more connected, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Can we put some reverb on this? Or
Yeah,
have we done that
I can do
already?
one of these like.
So,
Huge
price-wise,
difference.
again, I think I forgot to tell you the Iridium, but the Simplifier is $299, the Iridium is $399, Firebox $299, C.A.B $249. I think, you know, there's
No right or wrong, is there? It's
not really. I mean, there's definitely. I'm kind of. I think the two notes, to be honest with you, if the feature of having it as, you know, actually being able to use my amp with it,
Yeah.
you know, if that was more my angle, I think that's what would make me lean towards this one.
Yeah.
I think if it wasn't for that and I was just looking for a straightforward product to have on my desktop
Yeah.
to just plug some pedals into and get some good sounds into my computer,
Yeah.
I'd be choosing from one of these three.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't know,
really difficult, isn't it?
with the Strymon, I kind of find it's hard to justify the extra £100. It almost feels like that's just because, you know, there's some clever boffins there and Strymon stuff's always a bit expensive and sexy.
Yeah, that's fine. You know,
doesn't-
people like brands, don't they? People
Yeah.
like
But it
drive
doesn't
Mercedes
really,
and Porsches.
it doesn't really feel like you're getting like £100 of their extra stuff. With
Not at
that.
all. Not at all. It's between, you know, again, there's no right or wrong. It's like what you what you prefer, and probably a good idea to.
I thought the Firebox had a lot in it. It's funny, isn't it? Because we've not really visited this for 2 or 3 years. I don't think.
And it still holds up. You know, it still holds. It still holds
I
up
agree.
to new stuff coming out. You know,
So
the
here we go.
technology.
last bit of the demo then, we're just going to go no talking, boom, 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 boom. Our 4 favourite clean sounds. And then
I'll do a bit of reverb on it, so we can get some of
everything
that.
with reverb on it, and what else? We'll probably just and then just punch in a drive sound, but from a pedal, because otherwise not all of these will do kind of driven tones. So there we go.
There we go.
I'm pretty sure as well, as far as products is concerned, there might be some of you going, what about Helix or GT1000 or more. Even Pod Go or whatever.
Yeah, different.
And they're different, and they're for the person that almost wants no pedals. They just want everything in one box.
Yeah.
So we've intentionally gone for these very small format, used with normal pedals, just kind of a simple replacement for an actual guitar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There we go. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the play out.
Bye. Be safe. Use hand sanitizer. Especially when you